Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, brothers and sisters in humanity. Firstly, I want to thank all of you for giving us the chance to talk about this matter, which is the importance of social media, and why we're very much contrary to that matter. Here's why we're contrary to that matter. The reason is, before we jump straight into the reason and argument, allow me to introduce myself and my college. My name is Fadul Rahman Nabil. Here's my college name. Rangga Jatun Arif, and Muhammad Khairan.
And I want to introduce myself too. My name is Dr. Syamani in the process, and I want to introduce my college, Vivi Rahma Aprilianti and Benani Maulidia.
Nowadays, social media is important. With social media, we can add friends and notify people who are far away. Besides that, social media also adds to our knowledge, and we can also sell good and promote it to social media without having to leave the house.
I think it's important because social media makes it easy for us to get information faster.
Social media is a long distance communication tool. Social media can also be used for online learning and also get the latest news.
Social media could be beneficial, but also bad. One of the examples that it is could be used to recruit gang members. Criminals use social media to commit and promote crimes. Gangs use the sites to recruit younger members, coordinate violent crimes, and threaten other gangs.
Social media has many bad effects for us, one of which is the lack of communication in real life. And in the future, that person will become antisocial because the more time someone spends in cyberspace, the less time they spend on real world interaction.
Not only that, it could also, if not get restricted in some sort of way, shape, or form, can lead to an addiction, which it can cause more trouble than it can possibly help. Which sadly the reality of this time of age. Almost everyone have their own smartphone or some sort of a gadget. This thing can cause health problems such as eye becoming blurry and other kind of stuff. It could also influence your life in negative demeanor, such as an important and very dangerous trend. For example, show your ID card or KTP trend, which is very dumb and dangerous trend. Not to say the least is the only one. No, no, no. There's a plenty of online quote-unquote trend that either can harm you or put you in a danger.
Social media can also have a bad impact if it is misused. For example, in the context of a sexual crime, usually the perpetrator will pursue him with something so that the victim wants to be invited to have.
We can be friends with anyone from any country. We can also know their culture, their language, but back again to ourselves in choosing to avoid sexual crime.
It can also be some kind of, pardon me to say it, prostitution or even worse, child molesting site. According to FBI, at least 500,000 online predator active each day. They all have a multiple online profile. More than 50% of them uh, at age 12 to 15, and 89% of the victims are contacted by online predator through chat room and instant messages. If not, this thing is not controlled, which not every parent sadly control what their kids doing in the online realm, can really break that child future.
There's also cyberbullying. Some of the effects of cyberbullying also included mental health issues, increased stress, anxiety, depression, acting out violently, and low self-esteem. Cyberbullying can also result in a long-lasting emotional effect, even if the bullying has stopped. There's also the fact that our privacy could become at risk. We are often advised to be cautious about sharing details of our lives on social media. Oversharing can put our privacy at risk. In some cases, when Facebook and Twitter accounts were hacked, posts related to personal information and personal data has been leaked that have influenced the lives of many people.
Kairan said that our privacy is threatened here. I want to explain that social media is to upload or promote our activities. Social media as a place to channel talents, so to follow these trends, we must also be smart in choosing these trends. It needs to be emphasized again that not all social media are bad, but from the person too. Thank you.
I have some questions that need to be asked. There's a couple of questions that I want and my colleagues want to ask. Firstly, there's some issue going on social media about freedom of speech that's been suppressed by the media or social media. What's your take on that? Are you in agreement with that, or you reject that completely?
I agree. So it can be said that if a person or group of the people intentional produces and distributes this issue, there will be legal action because this has been regulated by law that anyone who knowingly distributes and produces news or information that is credible and invalid truth and harm and defame someone will be subject to sanctions and fines, namely criminal.
Does the ease of wanting to buy something have a completely positive impact? Why?
Okay, I will answer question from the Contra of whether the easy when you want to buy some things is completely positive. Why? Okay, well, here we know that not all things have positive impact, must be negative. Now, there are many positive impacts in making only purchases, such as shortening time, not incurring costs, the number of discount, shortening the distance, and there must be negative impact, such as items that are not suitable and damage.
Alright. The question is, how do we know that the information we get is accurate and not?
And I want to answer the question. How do you know if the information is true or false? In my opinion, by looking at the comments and contents of their social media accounts is enough. I want to give a question for the Contra. Why social media can cause mental disorder?
It mildly. Uh, what can lead it to mental health problem in social media? There's a lot of ways, but I will just have one, for example. That's a thing that being a tradition nowadays in social media, apparently, for whatever reason. The thing is, it's called a cancel culture. What is a cancel culture? Cancel culture is when somebody do something that majority of people doesn't agree with it, or and that thing make people that doesn't agree with it exclude them from another people, so that he become isolated from his own paradigm. For example, there's not too long ago, I mean, J.K. Rowling about his transphobic comment. He's been absolutely cancelled by the social media. I don't know why, but because apparently there's in the West there's freedom of speech, but you know, freedom of speech is relative among people. So yeah, that's probably one of the reasons that I could give among many. For another example, is a bullying. Bullying is similar to cancel culture actually, but yeah, there's a little bit of difference in it. But the majority is still the same.
How to limit the time when opening social media?
It can be with looking for more useful activities, look for information other than social media, and limit the amount of time you open social media by using an alarm to control social media use.
Okay, my question for the Contra. Why do you blame social media? It's not that from yourself.
Question is, why do we blame social media? Why isn't it our fault? Well, maybe some part of it is our fault. Sometimes we didn't notice that we did something wrong, or it could just be a small misunderstanding. The problem with social media is that it cannot tell what's a real mistake and what's not. Once it's out there, it's not coming back. Information spreads fast, and social media cannot do anything about it. They don't have a filter or something to prevent this from happening.
In conclusion, is social media can help us in our daily lives and make our work easier. And remember, not to make social media a place of crime.
So, the conclusion from our team, we still don't think that social media is important in any ways whatsoever. But you know, we we supported that social media being some kind of supporting thing for our life, but not to make it dependent and make it the most important thing to our life. But the reason that me and my colleagues have given, such as some bullying, mental instability because of the bullying, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's it from us. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.